There you go, recording in progress. Magic when it
Lovely.
works, isn't it? Yeah. All right. So, Robert, welcome.
Thank you.
It's always good to do cross-pollination. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is that you're trying to achieve, and then apparently you want to ask me a bunch of questions, and I'll do my best to answer them.
Yeah, brilliant.
Cool.
Yep. So yeah, my name is Rob Wardley. I'm from the UK. So nice and cold here at the moment. I'm a personal trainer, online coach, sort of crossing between the two. Feel like the world's moving more sort of online now, and it's become a lot smaller with the internet making it all like that. But a lot of pros and cons to that. And obviously, I discovered the carnivore movement back in maybe 2018. Usual people like yourself, Sean Baker, Anthony Chafee, Ken Berry, big names in the space. And I've always looked up to yourself and those sort of people that seem to just do really well. And I think maybe it's the personalities that come across to people that just resonate really well with people and getting me on the channel. Just basically trying to network with people and push my online coaching in the carnival space.
Awesome.
So I discovered like I was very familiar with like low carb keto sort of space. Maybe 2013, 14. There was a guy called John Kiefer. I don't know if you're familiar with him. Um, so I think he's kind of like a double-edged sword. He made a book called Carb Night and Carb Backloading, and there's a picture of like a cheesecake desserts type thing on the front of the book. So quite appealing to my old like addictive food nature. And I thought, oh, that's is this like the magic pill? Like I can lose fat and get shredded while still eating these beautiful foods. But the good thing about it that I took from it was you kind of went ketogenic like 6 days a week, and then on the seventh day you had like a carb refeed cheat meal sort of thing, which kind of defeats the purpose. But back then, when I was in my like early 20s, it was very appealing. I thought, oh, nice one. I can still enjoy my life. You know, you seem to. That's another sort of story with that. So I did that, but I just felt amazing 6 days a week, and then horrible. Like you get that little bit of mouth pleasure for like an hour of whenever, like in that eating window, and then the next day I felt like hungover and groggy, and I'd lost all the benefits from ketosis. So that sort of sent me down the rabbit hole of all the physiology with all that. And then luckily I saw Sean Baker on Joe Rogan, which is probably quite a generic answer. And and then it all just made sense. It like the noise sort of went away. I never understood why you had to have like your meat on your plate, then a little bit of veg, and then maybe the rice. And it was like, sometimes those three things came from like three different continents. I thought, how is that aligned with nature and evolution? And then when I saw Sean Baker, it all sort of made sense, and it was so liberating. And yeah, it was really simple. It was stupidly simple, and I thought this can't be true. And then you dive into like the likes of yourself and go into the biochemistry and the physiology and evolution, and then it all's like a light bulb moment. I'm like, oh my god! And then I just found it so fascinating, and off you go down the rabbit holes. And then I was already sort of coaching people. I'm a competitive natural bodybuilder, so you naturally get sort of people like, how do you lose fat? And people started asking me for diet plans, and I felt a bit sort of imposter syndrome because I felt like I get how to do it, but then I pile the weight back on this bulking and cutting, binging and purging cycles. But obviously, I can only speak of what I've tried, and it was always a calorie restriction, regardless of what you ate. So then you feel like a bit of a charlatan giving these if it fits your macros plans to people and all this, and I didn't like it. And then when I discovered carnivore, it was like the complete opposite. That I believed in. I understood and believed the physiology that I was actually making people healthy, giving them sustainable like habits for life, and I could sleep better at night knowing I'd helped people. And then you see all the side effects like people's psoriasis disappearing and the asthma and the joint pain, and I'm like, whoa, mind blown. So yeah, sorry, that was quite a long answer, but yeah,
Cool.
that's where,
Ah, good. Awesome. All
yeah.
right. And where do people get hold of you if they want to do some personal training and or get some advice from you?
So usually, I'll be honest, 90 odd percent is through Facebook, and that's probably the reason I'm trying to branch out from that. That seems more sort of friends and family sort of based, whereas in all honesty, you kind of run out of people to that they know what you do and they can message you if you're there. Um I've branched out to like Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, and then this is why I'm trying to appear on people's channels. So I go under the name of Optimal Carnivore. My personal training and online coaching business was Optimal Bodies to start with, and then I really loved the carnivore sort of niche and wanted to get a bit of a handle with that. So yeah, Optimal Carnivore is YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and usually it's like private messages. And I've started doing one-to-one coaching calls to try and be a bit more personal rather than just. I used to just message people. I was a bit scared and hide behind. You can hide behind a message, and I'm trying to just be a bit more organic and personal and things like that. Yeah, so I'll coach anybody, which is I've always said like you always learn something from it. So whether somebody's like 300 pound or they want to get to 3% body fat and step on a bodybuilding stage, like I get great benefit from both because I always learn something and just the pleasure of helping people. So yeah.
Brilliant. Love it. All right. Well, I suppose we can crack on with whatever it was that you had for me by way of questions and stuff now that we've got
Yes, sir.
the practicalities out of the way of all of that. So,
Yes. Do you do one-to-one coaching yourself, or did you and you branched out into other fields, or
yeah, not so much coaching these days, more as a consultant. I'll talk to people one on one to give them often a second opinion, check on something that some idiot physicians told them,
yeah,
or um, often just to give people reassurance that this crazy thing they're doing is not going to kill them next week
yeah,
or anything like that, or that they really are on the right track. They haven't gone mad just because all their friends and family are all over them. Oh, you don't want to do that. That's crazy. That'll kill you. All of that. So a large part of my consultancy is reassuring people that actually, with my background, I probably know a little bit more than their silly mates who think it's crazy. I don't know. Maybe I do. Maybe I don't. Whatever. I do, by the way. Just spoiler.
I love
Oh
the
dear.
confidence.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it comes from over 2 decades of working in academia. I taught health sciences in New Zealand, Australia, the UK, and the US. So I've been around a bit. I've seen how it's done around the place. I've also had my own clinical responsibility for quite a number of those years as well. So my areas of expertise are the physiology of rest and exercise. It used to be called sports science. That was my first degree, my first advanced research degree, that is. The second one was in human nutrition because I got bored of sports science and I thought, oh, I'll go to nutrition science. I thought because that'll be much more sciencey. No, cardiovascular pathophysiology. That'll be the bag. I thought. No. So now I'm a farmer and a social media influencer who does private consultancies still one-on-one. I also market a stem cell enhancing supplement range. I make YouTube videos. It's busy. It's fun. It's better than, things are better than they ever were beforehand. I don't miss the academic thing at all. I think the whole industry has completely lost its way, actually, but that's for another day. So there it is. Mm.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Mm.
I've often wondered, obviously, as you grow, say you get like say you get 10% hit online, but then all of a sudden you're 10 times more popular. That 10% becomes a larger figure, if that's how it works. How do you deal with these keyboard warriors or whatever you want to call them? Do you read the comments? Do you reply? Do you ignore them? I did quite a controversial video, and I put it on my social media, and it was regarding autism and the carnivore diet, basically,
Okay.
in a
All right.
nutshell. and
Yeah.
I got absolutely ridiculed. I've been shouted at in the street, you know, all this sort of thing. I just wondered how somebody
Right.
with a lot bigger following than me deals with
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, first of all, before you become a social media influencer, I think the first thing a person should do is grow quite a thick skin. Because as it turns out, vastly, almost universally out there, people are as dumb as two short planks. They really are very, very stupid. A lot of them will react emotionally to stuff that's actually got nothing to do with emotion. And sometimes you'll cop that. I used to read every single comment on my channel. Now it's getting to the point where I simply don't have time to do that. I still do scan through them on a daily basis. I still do respond to both positive and negative comments. I used to respond to all negative comments by permabanning every single negative comment. Bam, 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 bam. I'm told that's not great for the algorithm. So now I just respond sarcastically or humorously or point out the flaws in their ridiculous arguments that they come forward with, their stupid emotional responses to things that they don't like because of emotional reasons. I just, I guess, take solace in the fact that I live very rurally out the back of nowhere in a part of New Zealand that's not very populous. And as such, you know, I can always just go and take a walk and say hello to the sheeps and the cows and things, and the goats and the ducks and the chickens and whatever else. And usually have a much more sensible conversation with them than I can have with a lot of people, frankly. Over time, when you keep doing the social media thing, you do develop a hardcore band of decent supporters who really do support you, who you can connect with, who you can share the joke with, commune with, and who will support you. So that develops as well as you go along. It's not so bad. It's yeah, it is what it is, and you just move on, really.
Brilliant. No, I like the way you answered that with the emotional response from people. I think that really hit home with me. And yeah, building that network around you and focusing on the positive, because I could get 100 positive comments and one negative, and then that negative one could ruin my day. But like you said, just go for a walk, talk to a sheep.
The thing is, here's the thing:
Why?
if you allow that, you've given up your power that day to let one idiot spoil your day because they said something about you that wasn't entirely positive, and it probably comes from a position of ignorance, almost certainly. It has to get to, if you're going to keep being a social media influencer, which I suggest because it's a great way to make a living. It's much better than academia or any of that kind of stuff. I mean, the opportunity is unlimited if you learn how to play the game. I'm still learning, 8 years in, and I still make mistakes. I still do things suboptimally. I still hang on to doing things in a way that actually does hold me back because I don't want to play anybody else's game. Very recently, I've decided to let somebody else take the lead on my channel and suggest to me, make this video, make that video. I'll do the thumbnails, he says. I'll do the marketing thing. I'll run the back office thing and make it work for you. Someone that professes and seems to know a bit about Algor and his rhythms, the algorithm, I mean. And for me as a control freak, that's been a massive thing, just to let that go for a few weeks and give this guy a trial and go, okay, you tell me you can improve things here in terms of the visibility, the algorithm thing, the number of views, all of that. I'm going to give you full license to hang yourself or to prove that what you're saying is right and you really can do this. So that's a massive thing. Also, you know, the control freakery thing that a lot of us that do social media have. It's your brand. It's you. You're putting yourself out there. And if you let someone else take control of the way things are done, what videos are made, how they're made, how you present, when they're released, what thumbnails are made, and how they're, you know, even the titles of the videos and things. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
it's a big thing. But, you know, it's worth going through that because, you know, if at the end of this, I get a hit out of it in terms of visibility and stuff, then so much the better. Mm.
Yeah, nice. Hopefully that takes a little bit of stress off you, but it could also cause a bit of stress at first and anxiety. But I suppose if you
Well,
see the
not only
results,
am I a control freak, I'm also apparently touched with the autism brush, according to who you
oh,
listen to. Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I have that going on as well. A lot of people don't know that about me, that actually in my private life, off camera, away from all of that, I'm on the spectrum. I have a particular form of autism, I'm told.
hmm
Mild form, they say, whatever the hell that is, mild autism. Um, Many members of my immediate family are much more touched than I am, so I actually don't even get the credit for having it. It's like my mum says, "No, you're the normal one." I'm not. I'm just less affected than the rest, sort of thing. But anyway, there you go. That's how that one is as well. Mm.
yeah. No, similar. My wife says it to me all the time, but it doesn't change anything the way you live your life, I suppose. And so with you saying about somebody sort of taking the reins with your channel and things like that. Did you find your channel just grew sort of like organically, or did you find like one video was just a hit and then boom, it just took off?
I've never produced any one video on any of my health science related channels that got really huge, that blew up, that was massive, anything like that. It's been
Mm,
steadily doing the same sorts of things again and again and again. They're all kind of mid-range numbers of views, sort of thing. I chose very early on to take a particular approach, a particular clickbaity or hook the audience style, where I was stepping away from academia. I was never going back, and I stand by that. I will never go back to academia
hmm
ever. So I didn't have a reputation to look after anymore. I could
hmm
do whatever I wanted online. So what I did is I decided to curse and swear and be abrasive and call everybody every name under the sun and be, as confronting as possible, while at the same time actually giving unassailable arguments.
hmm
And I think what that did up front is that it expedited my growth from 0 subs to X, whatever that, and got me rolling in a way that others, because let's face it, people out there that know something about health science, nutrition, whatever else, there are a dime a dozen. I'm not the only one that knows something about this.
But your delivery is different.
My delivery is different, and I think that was the point of difference.
hmm
However, that robbing Peter to get started meant I had to pay Paul, and the payment to Paul is I'm now at a point where the algorithm doesn't like what I do.
Okay.
And or a large section of the available cold audience that would come to my videos that aren't expecting it, that don't know who I am, that aren't part of my community already, go, "Oh, what's this? That's a bit much." So it kind of becomes limiting. So
hmm
now I'm at a point where oh God, I've got to change my style again
Okay.
to meet the new demands of trying to grow to the next level, to be, because there are social media influencers in this field who know vastly less about this than I do, vastly, who are vastly less credible than I am in terms of their background, their academic CV, all of that kind of stuff. But they sail straight past me in terms of numbers of subscribers, etc. else, because they play the game.
hmm
So they get started more slowly, but then within a couple of years, they'll sail straight past where I've got to.
It doesn't
So
seem
it's like,
fair.
no, it doesn't. But also, I have to
But
accept my part in that, my responsibility for making that decision
yeah.
to play the game that way up front. And so I pay the price for that a bit now. Okay, now I'm at a point where I can go, right, shelve your ego, son. Me, that is. You don't know everything. Let this guy who has worked with quite a few social media influencers who are a lot bigger than me and who has helped them increase their views, their visibility, their everything, all their stats, their numbers, their income, everything else. So while I might know everything about health science, I don't. I know a lot about health science, I should say. Do I know everything about running a YouTube channel? No. Just because I've been doing it for 8 years, very averagely, doesn't mean I know everything about that. I've got to shelve that part of my ego and let this guy do his thing without arguing with that. It's tough, but I've been good so far. Yeah, I think. He might tell you
No,
otherwise, but there it is.
it's very humbling of yourself to be
Mm.
to step back and let someone take the reins. Do you find so? One, do you have you got an idea of what sort of character, if anything, like do you want to adapt to what you normally do now and what you're going to do, and how
Yeah.
different are you? How different are you off camera to on camera?
I'm a
You
completely
seem
different character. I'm a constant delight in real life.
well,
I'm a
yeah.
constant delight. Ask anyone that lives here. Shut up, all of you. Goodness gracious. Um, yeah, no, look, I'm quite different off camera. There are
Mm,
aspects of what you see on camera that are a real part of my real presentation, but they are kind of play acted up to the nth degree.
mhm.
The other thing I've done is I've taken aspects of all sorts of characters, both real and made up characters, and taken various different applications of things that I've seen in others and whatever else. And I thought that's amusing or whatever else. And I've put this character together, or really it's a suite of characters. There's the professional professor character that I do, which is just my normal, how I was professionally for 20 something years as an academic, right? There's another character who is kind of like supposedly just the bloke who knows a lot about this, who used to be the professor that isn't anymore, doesn't wear the collar and tie, but still will sit there and will suddenly slam out, bam, the you know um, the facts and figures when they're needed. There's the grumpy professor, which is the one who gets overtly cross, even though I'm not. It's no skin off my nose.
Mhm.
But the one who acts out to being overtly cross with everyone who's wrong on the interwebs. Um, there's the field marshal of the Meat Militia, who you may or may not have come across.
Yeah, yeah.
He
My
he
dad
shows
likes that.
up.
Yeah.
He shows up wearing the full military regalia sometimes. And a lot of that character, while it's not entirely, a lot of that is channeling Stephen Fry.
Nice.
Now then, staff. Now then. Right,
Yeah.
what's going on here and stuff. And then there's Yellow Ted, who is a caricature unto himself. And he's his own character, by the way. He's his own bear. I'm not him, he's not me. He's
Mhm.
got his own platform on X. And over there, he
Okay.
talks about next Tuesday all the time. Everyone's from next Tuesday. I can't do a thing with him. I keep telling him, you probably should tone that down a bit, Ted. And he says, I can't really repeat it.
Tells you where to
All he
go.
says,
Yeah, yeah,
that's it.
yeah. You're not cursing at the minute. You're quite. Is that on purpose or
I don't normally do
just?
that in an interview situation. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
mostly the cursing, swearing, carrying on, being abrasive and pretending to be much more angry and bitter than I really am in the world. Much of that is directed either in the Who's Wrong on the Interwebs videos or in a live debate situation because it throws the opponent off
Yeah.
much more than the actual facts
You
do.
think? Okay. Oh, that's
I think it throws
interesting.
them off. I really think it does. Um,
Can I can I ask you about somebody in particular?
you can.
Paul Saladino.
Yeah, what about him?
Have you met him in person? I see that he kind of pretends not to know you, from what I've seen.
Yeah.
Do you speak privately, or
Right.
is it
Okay.
what you see? Do you know what I mean?
You, you might want to watch a video that I posted on my channel. It's one of my new ones, actually, that
It
was
was a couple of days
suggested to
ago.
me by about 4 days ago. It was suggested to me by the consultant that I'm working with, who's saying, this is the kind of video I want you to make. Make this video.
Okay.
And the first one he asked me to make was give me 10 or 11 lies that Paul Saladino was told and, do the Who's Wrong on the Interwebs thing. I actually didn't need to re-record anything because I just used old footage that was from long form videos. Okay, here's 10 or 11 quick lies that Paul Saladino has told, and here's the proof that he's lying,
Hmm.
sort of thing. The last one, Paul Saladino was being interviewed by Anthony Chafee, and Anthony Chafee said something to him along the lines of whatever it was to him. He says, look, a lot of people suggest things regarding this, and he mentioned me by name. And Paul
Who?
said, I don't, Paul, yeah. And Paul said, I don't know who that is. And then the very next shot in the video is spliced in there is Paul and I doing collaborative videos together about
Multiple.
5 years ago, multiple times. So
Yeah.
either Paul Saladino has a very, very short memory indeed,
Hmm.
or he's lying about knowing me. I think it's easier for him to claim he doesn't know me because that way he doesn't have to deal with the fact that I've torn him to shreds, absolute shreds in terms of
Hmm.
his credibility. He's scientifically illiterate. Okay, I
Hmm.
mean, Paul is double qualified as a GP and also as a psychiatrist. Sure. He's never practiced either, by the way.
Okay.
Never actually done a day's work as a doctor in his life. He went straight to being a social media influencer.
Hmm.
Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but to say I'm Dr. Paul Saladino is a bit disingenuous in that case. Don't you think? He's qualified, absolutely. He's entitled to say MD, he's earned that, but he's never actually been one.
Not Carnivore
Okay.
NB, no.
Well, and he certainly shouldn't be calling himself Carnivore
That's gone. It's
because
gone.
well, I think he calls himself, what is he? Whatever he calls himself. Anyways,
Yeah.
um, but that doesn't mean he knows the first thing about how to read a research paper, how to interpret a research. He doesn't even get it right on basic English. It's one of the things in that video I'm talking about. He says the A1C test, the HbA1c test, is absolutely sensitive to and will pick up damage done by fructose. To which I said, no, Paul, it won't, because it's a very specific test for glucose, not fructose. And he made this great big long video saying, here's a paper that absolutely proves me right. And then you read the paper that he's using to suggest that he's absolutely right. And it says explicitly, this test won't pick up fructose so much.
Do
Oh,
you
good,
do you
Paul.
think that he just is a bit maybe ignorant to the fact that his audience won't read that paper and they just take his word for it, whereas you pick up on that actually he's sort of sticking up for your argument and is shooting himself in the foot.
It's hard for me to imagine what somebody else is thinking most of the
Yeah,
time, because most of the time, thinking is probably too strong of a description of what most people do. Most people are reactive.
just
Most people
absorb it
have a
and think.
barrow to push. They have a stall to set out. They'll set that stall out and they will cherry pick and look for something that might appear on its surface to appear to support what they're saying. And then they'll say, look, here's a paper that absolutely proves it. Not really understanding the depth of my ability to really get into the reeds and weeds on any given study and pull it to bits within minutes. Or indeed to find that that study explicitly and clearly states the exact opposite of his interpretation of it.
It must be nice that he's done the work to find a study that supports your argument.
Well, yeah, sure, sure. It's always good fun. But in terms of, like a lot of people think I have a real problem with Paul Saladino and it's a very personal dislike and, some major falling out or whatever. I haven't spoken to Paul to his face in 5 years.
Hmm.
Okay. I have no personal problem with Paul Saladino as a person. I'm sure he's a great bloke. Maybe his heart's even in the right place. I don't know that either, for sure. I don't
Mm.
really care. Okay. What I do have a problem with is Paul Saladino telling people to pour hundreds and hundreds of grams of unnecessary and indeed contraindicated damaging carbohydrates down their stupid necks every day of their lives because he does it. So therefore it must be okay to do.
Hmm.
While ever totally ignoring his own patent, vast, rapid physical aging over the last 5 years, which I've also showed in that video in a side-by-side photo. 4 years ago, today, I didn't label it as such, but that's what it was. There was a 4-year gap between two photos up on the screen. I'm like, my word, you've aged.
It looks
Whereas,
leaner. It looks a bit
uh,
leaner as well in his face.
perhaps,
But
yeah,
I know what you
perhaps.
mean.
Mm,
It's,
mm,
while I've got you, you mentioned
yeah,
the 100. Is it down your stupid neck that you usually say, like with
yeah,
the carbohydrates?
yeah.
Um, so it's sort of two parts. So the damage from like the glycation.
Mm,
I'm sure you're the best person to ask the sort of physiology behind that. Do you know, like, how does that?
mm,
What does that actually cause? Do you know, how, like, what's the sort of mechanism? And
mm.
is somebody sort of like lean and considered sort of metabolically healthy and not insulin resistant? do they suffer the same damage as somebody that can't clear the glucose from the bloodstream as quick? Somebody who's not sort of type 2 diabetic? If
Right.
that makes
Okay.
sense.
So if glucose and or fructose, whatever, if sugar hangs around in your bloodstream longer than it ought to, or there's vastly higher concentrations of it, even spike in, in either of those situations, the damage that that glucose or fructose or both will do is inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
There is a place for a level of glucose and a level of fructose in the human bloodstream. It's meant to be relatively stable. It's not meant to spike and trough, spike and trough, spike and trough. So it's not that glucose and fructose are immediately toxic and poisonous at any concentration. That's not correct. Like anything, it's the dose that makes the poison.
Yeah.
It's these vast spikes or a vastly elevated level, not moderately, vastly elevated level chronically, or both. The mechanism of the damage is that the fructose or glucose or galactose or whatever it is, the sugar,
Yep.
chemically binds itself to protein structures, fat structures and things, forms adjuncts, side chains, which conformationally change the shape of those proteins, those fat molecules, and interfere with their function. And that shows up visually as the patent signs of graying, aging, skin creping, the breakdown of collagen. That's why he looks much leaner, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Physically
That's a
losing
guess.
skin.
That's a guess. But definitely, all the other signs, really, really clear signs of what we classically think of as signs of aging on a person's face. Go and have a look at the video. Make your own assessment.
Yeah. No, it's interesting.
I mean,
Definitely.
you can put a photo of me taken in 2011 right next to one taken yesterday. And while people will correctly say, okay, this is now and that was then, they will know which one's the younger one and which one's the older one. The actual difference, the actual details, if you look closely, it's not that, a lot of people say you haven't apparently aged 15 years.
Yeah.
It looks like maybe 2 or 3 if you're lucky. Whereas you take 2 photos of Paul Saladino taken 4 years apart, and people go, my God, that's decades of aging. So it's just really stark. Anyway, that's n equals
Yeah.
1 him, n equals 1 me. It's not scientific. It's just observational.
You do seem to see a lot of carnivores just seem to look more vibrant and age well. That's what I've seen, the people that I've seen. But yeah, you start to see a pattern. It's hard to ignore.
Yep. That being said, humans are predetermined and pre-programmed to see patterns even where they don't exist. It's one of the problems with interpreting things. But I think what you're saying is valid. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just throwing that out there as hey, that's an interesting thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like when you look at clouds and see faces in them. There's no face there, but you're programmed to see one.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Yeah, so with this, like that was interesting. The spikes. So even if like somebody like Paul, who's very lean, a lot of empty fat cells to store energy, the blood it's going too high and it's staying too high for too long and it's too frequent, and then whether or not that's shown in his age, in his face, then that could be occurring. Do you sort of stand by the sort of model that we probably got through fruit a couple of weeks of the year? And do you think it was as one, do you think we did get through, and two, do you think that it was as big and sweet as it is now?
Right. Yeah, I think humans have throughout their history in most parts of the world had some fruit, but nothing like the fruit we have today. That's what you're alluding to. The fruit we have today is selectively bred over generations to be larger, sweeter, tastier, less bitter, more palatable, smaller seeds. God, we've bred seeds completely out of bananas. I don't know. I think you're a bit younger than I am, clearly, but I remember eating bananas with seeds in them as a younger man. You can't get them anymore. They're gone. For
That's
example.
interesting. Yeah.
Grapes with seeds in them. Citrus fruit with seeds in them. You see a lot less of that now. It's heading that way as well because basically we're selectively making fruit more and more palatable, sweeter and sweeter, higher and higher fructose levels, less and less fibrous, all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, we would have eaten some berries or whatever was available a couple of weeks a year, maybe 3 or 4 weeks a year.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Funnily enough, when you think about it, berries and fruit and that kind of stuff generally are ready, ripe, and able to be eaten around about the end of the autumn, aren't they? Just before
Get
the
fat,
winter.
get fat.
So
Yeah.
to fatten you up for the winter, so you can overwinter. Of course, we don't need that anymore because we've got houses and clothing and Aldi
Winter never
stores
comes.
everywhere. Whatever. Mm. Or Sainsbury's local, whatever your bag is, if you don't like Aldi. Cool. Yeah.
Excellent. So
Mm.
just a quick shift. Can you give us just a typical day of eating for yourself, or maybe a
Right.
week if you do
Okay.
maybe alternate day fasting or anything like that,
Right. There are several different patterns. One when I'm behaving and doing what I should and doing what I say to people is optimal, and one when I'm not.
like the
Let's
honesty.
not let's not talk about the one when I'm not.
No, I'd like to
When
know.
Well, I could tell you, whatever. I mean, at the end of the day, what I do individually, personally, has no effect on what is optimal for any given person. The
Mhm.
facts around what a person should do are unchanged by what I personally, in fact, do. When
Mhm.
I'm behaving, I will eat meat, muscle meat, not organs, muscle meat and associated fat, plus or minus additional fat if I feel I need that, plus salt, and the amount that I would consume in one meal a day, because that's all I do is one meal generally. The amount of meat would be sufficient meat to provide around about 2 to maybe 2.5 grams of protein per kilogram of ideal body mass. Fat to
Nice.
satiety that day, whatever is required that day, and that will be activity informed and stress and distress informed and everything else, seasonally informed as well. When I'm not behaving, all bets are off. You might catch me doing anything that I would absolutely tell people you should not do. You bet, I'm a human being, and I'm an
Yeah,
imperfect one.
similar
Ask
to
anyone that
myself
lives
then.
here; they'll tell you how imperfect I am in many respects.
Getting pictures of you in pizza restaurants.
Mm. Or whatever it
uh,
is. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So is it more like I'm guessing you don't like have a macro calorie counter. You might quite intuitive and going off your
Yeah,
hunger and
absolutely intuitive. There's
satiety.
absolutely no way I write down, record, or try and track any
Hmm.
macros or anything else. God no. Why would I want to do that?
Hmm.
I know
Yeah,
what's ideal and I know what's not ideal and I know which one I'm doing at any given day.
you just yeah
Yeah.
trust your physiology, trust your hunger
Mm.
and satiety, and
Yeah.
with. Have you experimented with salt, like in and out, or different amounts, or different timings of the day, and things like that? Regards
Not
to
really.
anything?
I've always been intuitive about everything since I've been carnivore, that is, in terms of salt and everything else. So
Hmm.
if I fancy salt, I have salt. If I don't fancy salt, I don't have salt. And the salt is added to the food. I don't have salt in my water.
Yep.
And I also don't drink electrolytes or any of that kind of
Hmm.
carry on. Neither
Hmm.
do I drink a certain amount of water every day because you're supposed to drink a certain amount of water every day, apparently.
Go by thirst.
That's exactly it. Thirst and the slaking of that thirst. Right. Now I don't feel like I'm thirsty anymore. I'm going to stop drinking now. Next time I feel thirsty, I'll drink some more.
Like a
It's the
dog.
same with food. Ah, a lot of people would say so. Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
No,
I've got.
we
Yeah.
we're just another mammal, aren't we?
Mm,
I
yeah.
find. Do you what do you? Maybe we're sort of speculating with this. Do you not say you go back a million years? Do you think
Mm.
we seeked out salt, or do you think we got more salt because we drank the blood and it was like a fresher kill? Or do you think we purposely added it to our
I
food?
Yeah, I would think that there was some consuming of blood. Which is more salty than meat, yes. I would suspect any time humans found rock salt lying around anywhere, they absolutely collected it up and took it home for whenever they felt like it, and they had a nice lick of that. Yep, I would say so. Um, I mean, you're quite right. It's a speculation, obviously, because
Yeah, yeah.
neither one of us is a million years old.
And we haven't got a time machine.
That's it. No.
Hmm. Nice. No, that's a great
Mm.
answer.
Mm.
Are you doing much resistance training these days?
No, I've found myself struggling for time, what with farming, consultancies, marketing for the nutraceutical line that I'm involved in, social media influence. I'm working just about every hour under the sun that a person could. There's very little spare time for me to just actually enjoy it and walk around and have a look and all of that sort of stuff at this stage. It's been a bit stressful. There's been one or two things that have gone off in my personal life and whatever else that have been a real problem this year. These are not excuses why I'm not doing it. I'm just saying these are the things that have
Mhm.
led to me lacking the self-discipline and application to do it. Um, in the summer, I play cricket
Oh, nice.
in a senior C 40 overs a side hit and giggle type grade. So I'm still doing that. So I'm physically active, but I'm not doing targeted, planned resistance training, and I really need to be because since I turned 50 a few years back, there's been a quite precipitous loss of muscle mass, most notably below the waistline. I'm stood on pipe cleaners now, and it really worries
Yeah,
me because at the end of the day, it's one of the things that associates quite strongly with mortality is, loss of strength, power, physical muscle mass. So, it's at a point where I'm going, should I really seriously need to sort this out?
yeah. It seems because I'm sort of from the bodybuilding world. That seems to be sort of like after 40, sort of like lower body leg
Yeah,
muscles seem to atrophy more.
yeah,
So it's
they do.
interesting you
Absolutely
said that.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder what's going on there. Like,
I think it's a genetic thing. I think it's a use it or
mm,
lose it thing. And I think
yeah,
men who don't do whole body resistance training do tend to maintain more upper body strength and muscle mass because they do tend to do things involving their upper body. But they also, as they
yeah,
age, tend to do less and less and less involving locomotion, lower body, weight carriage, all of that. It's a guess again, but I think that's what it
yeah,
is. Mm.
yeah.
And
Because my
then
dad, yeah,
they drink dirty beer and end up with that belly. So you've got these two
beer
pipe
belly.
cleaners with this round belly, and it's oh my god, the dad bod thing. Whew.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, at least I don't have
Ah,
that. I
no,
did have
no, you
dad bod
don't.
for a bit, and then I did a challenge to get rid of it,
Yep,
doing 100% carnivore and some priming and stuff, and that got rid of the beer belly.
nice.
But obviously, it didn't do anything for the rebuilding the muscle mass because that's targeted. You've got to do resistance training to maintain, rebuild, or hold any muscle mass in your lower body.
Yeah,
Mm.
so I probably know your answer. So because my dad's 70 next year, and
Right.
he discovered like low carb, then transitioned into carnivore,
Mm.
maybe more in his late 50s. So he basically
Yep.
did all the diet side for ages, and in the past sort of maybe 4 or 5 years, he's incorporated the resistance training because he'd followed likes yourself and Sean Baker, who are a big advocate for doing so. So he thinks all that, let's unlock another level and add that in.
Right.
He seems to go in and out of phases with training in like lower body stuff. So I want to push a message to him to like, do you highly recommend focusing
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the leg movements, even if maybe even if it's just on the machines, like a leg press and a bit
Sure.
safer than a free
Yeah.
weight squat.
Yeah. It's better than nothing.
Yeah.
If all you can do is get your legs done, do that. And I would do that twice a week.
Mhm.
And you can do like every major muscle group in your leg as well as you can count the glutes and the lower back in that one as well if you want, in that split. And you can do all
Yep.
of that in 5 or 6 exercises, 2 working sets of each, 8 RM sort of resistance if you're using fixed weights, or whatever on the machines. The one thing I will say is those 45-degree leg press machines, if it doesn't have a top lockout to stop your knees from locking, don't use it.
Okay.
Very dangerous
Hmm.
because you could end up with your knees being folded backwards and you could be introduced to the insteps of your feet up around your chin anytime.
That's great
I've seen it
advice.
happen. I've
Yeah.
seen it happen.
I'll be honest.
Woo.
I get people comment on my videos saying like, careful with your knees. I do quite an aggressive lockout.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
must not
plan
do
on
that.
that.
You
I need to
mustn't do it.
decelerate a bit. Yeah, I need to. Yeah.
Well, more to the point, there needs to be a lock in the top of that leg press machine that absolutely prevents that carriage from going far enough that your legs can possibly lock.
Yeah.
So long as there's some bend in your knees still, you're safe on that one. As soon as they're straight, then that way can happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Not
might have
worth
to
it.
start. And now you've said it, I might have hit the.
Maybe that hits the mark. Okay, so there you go.
Brilliant.
Yep.
No, well, that's amazing.
I
don't know if there's anything else you want to dive into or anything, or I know you've appreciate your time and
no, it's an absolute
everything
pleasure.
like that.
Yeah. It's all about the cross-pollination. Pleasure to do it.
Yeah.
All right, my man. Well, it's been really good to meet, and I wish you very well with everything you're trying to achieve. We'll talk in the background some more. I'll send you some emails about when it's being edited and when it's ready to go up and stuff, and we'll talk about some other synergies and other business opportunities in the background as well. I'm quite sure.
I really appreciate that. So, in case I'm sure they already know, but do you want to say where people can find you, or they'll already see?
Yeah, if you go to the my main offerings are on the YouTubes, and if you go to YouTube and type in at Bart Kay, there I am. And if you look under any of my pre-recorded videos, there's a list of 5 or 6 other YouTube channels that I also run because I'm a tiger for punishment. So you can check those ones out if you want as well. If you're interested in what's happening around the farm, you could go to Instagram and go to at Bart_KAY_nutrition. And that's nothing to do with nutrition, actually. That's just about things happening on the farm. So you can do that. You can find me by name on face pages if you want to, whatever. But they're the main places I hang out online. And anyone that wants to come and help out around the independent sovereign nation of Pimbatia, surrounded by the formerly free New Zealand, now the communist state of whatever it's called, you're welcome to do that too, on a case-by-case basis. You've got to get past Ted first, of course, an interview with Ted, and he'll decide whether you're an apt person to visit. So there you go. All right.
No, thanks very much for this opportunity. I appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah.
No, not at all. Good
nice
stuff.
to meet you.
Right. Ciao.
Top man. Cheers, Bart.